You've tuned in again to another in the series of the Journey 2020. And we like to let you know that the journey is a journey from you to me, from me to you, so that we can reach a higher level. I'm Dr. John Robertson, and a clinical psychologist here in Orlando, Florida. And I'm, as usual, joined by my co-host, the incomparable Mr. Charles Morris.
Oh, well, thank you, Dr. Robinson. We can briefly talk about last weekend, which was, I didn't know you could play Ike so well. But it's all on Facebook, and we have to explain. As a matter of fact, I shared it with Robin earlier. I said,
Oh, you did?
I said, Robin, check out Dr. Robinson.
Oh, y'all not right.
Being
not right.
Being Ike. But I said, don't anticipate he gonna slap Tina. But you know, this was after he was saved.
right. That's what I told friends. I said, yeah, that's like after he was. If you don't know, last week was our annual recovery walk and run that is put on in collaboration with the Orange County Drug Free Coalition and the Multicultural Addictions Network, our nonprofit, and about another 10 community agencies. And the point of the walk and run is to celebrate those individuals who have fought the battle with alcohol and drug abuse, many of whom have won that battle. And we also wanted to recognize those who fought and perhaps have not won yet. So in the walk and run, I could not walk this year. As they say, my hip still tells me that I'm not ready as yet to even make that 3K walk. But they decided that they would put me to better use. And that is to have me put on a wig and a guitar.
You know what? You know what? I should have made the video available. You know what?
Wait a minute. Now you did enough already.
You know, at least add some pictures. Actually, I got a couple of pictures of. You know what? I saw where you downloaded your pictures. Did you get a chance to look at them?
Yeah, I did. I did.
You
Yeah, they were really some nice ones.
Right.
I meant to reply to you to thank you, but it's been a road race for this week. You know,
right.
But yeah, you started saying.
No, I was going to say there's a couple of pictures of you and Carol doing this. Was it the salsa on stage?
My God. Okay.
Yeah, you was wearing many wigs that day. Not hats, but wigs.
Wigs, exactly.
So yeah, there's some couple of pictures of you doing the salsa. And,
oh my goodness!
And then there's you doing Ike and so on and so forth. But yeah, that was pretty.
Okay.
That was pretty funny because friends were like, "Man, Dr. Robinson got into it." I was like, "Yeah, he did. Yeah."
It was fun.
Yeah,
it was
because
fun.
And then the funny thing about it was when I was asking her to do it, and she was like, you think they're going to participate? I said, when the last time you been to this event?
Right, exactly.
I said, because I knew they was going to really get into it.
Yeah.
And she was like, wow, they really got into it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah.
Exactly.
So it was a lot of fun, and they really, really looked like they enjoyed themselves.
They really did. I don't know if folks know the Facebook page to find the.
Well, they just need to find you because it's on your page.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I haven't been on my page all this week, so I'm going to have to get on.
Right. So they just need to look you up and then just
John Robertson. Okay.
Yeah. So then they go on your page and they get to see the pictures, and they also get to see the video of you playing Ike.
All right. Well, also to tell the truth, in real life, Ike would not have messed with that Tina, because Tina, who is France Neal, is also a black belt in karate. Okay, so it was not going to be like old time Tina, and taking a whooping.
That's funny.
As they say, she would have been given one.
Yeah,
exactly.
That is funny. but overall, like last year, people were Lou did bring up the fact that it rained, but that was one of the better ones in the rain, and it just goes to show you the spirit and how well it's received, and
Yeah.
also how well people appreciate the time and the effort for all that you do. So you can tell. Actually, if you look at the pictures, you can tell.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it was really a fun day, and can't wait. Well, I mean, I can't wait to see you as Ike next year.
Well, I may have to retire. I may have to retire.
Well,
Even though I did have fun.
well, there was another one that I won't say, but there's another one where there's audience participation that's just as much fun. So maybe that'll happen next year as well.
Oh, he's plotting already. Okay. But yeah, it was really good. And again, it was for a good cause. And I think it was good that we were able to show that in recovery, that folks could have fun, enjoy each other's company, and do something for a good cause. Because the larger message is that treatment works and recovery works. I know so many of us, almost everyone that I can think of friends and family, has somebody in their family that is either in the throes of alcohol or drug problems, or has recovered, or unfortunately has passed, from alcohol or drug problems. And to know that we could get, and I don't know if we have a final count as yet, but it looked like it was upwards of, I would say, at least 450, 500 folks out there. That to get folks out there to celebrate and participate in a cause that's often unpopular, and that people still feel the stigma from. So
well, I mean, but it's a good event, but it's also based on the foundation of why we're here.
yeah.
And that's the spirit in which we're supposed to live by, because we all have some brokenness.
Yeah.
And some of us are just a little bit more broken than others. But the brokenness in which you can see when it comes to substance abuse, that can be exposed more easily than some of the other brokenness that we carry inside of us each and every day.
True.
So the fact that people can come together and try to lift each other up, but also can acknowledge that they're struggling, but like everything else in life that you learn as your hair starts to turn gray, that you can only live life one day at a time.
Yeah.
And some days are a little bit tougher than others.
Yeah.
But that's what life is. And I think through it all, I think that's one of the problems that I think that we have. For some odd reason, and I don't want to get off topic, but a perfect example of what I mean by that is a lot of times you hear parents talk about their children, and you look at them, and being a parent, and I always talk about these mothers. Mothers are mothers, but and fathers as well. But for what odd reason they don't want their kids to go through life, in the sense of, well, you're going to get your heart broke. That's, well, who has not gotten their heart broke? That's part of life. And how else you going to learn? I can tell you, but that's my job.
Right.
But life is, you go through it.
Yeah. Exactly.
And through the spirit of as we hope that you would teach your child to have faith, and you try to have them to be encouraged and to not give up, because that's what life is.
Yeah.
So I don't know how else you expect life to be.
Yeah.
So when you go through something, or when you, I think a lot of times for myself, I see something, I may see somebody on the street that's maybe homeless or whatever, and I sit there and I ponder about what happened that they got there. Something happened. And generally, a lot of times, we don't understand the things that we do, because I always say God made it a certain way. Okay, and then you can get beat up by talking about, having a conversation with my niece who followed her mother, who got pregnant early on. Well, if you talk and have the conversation to say, well, you didn't break the pattern, but you're starting off behind the 8 ball, which means it's not okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, you can love your child. You made the mistake, but understand it's not okay. It's okay, but it's not okay.
Yeah.
So we have come to the point in life where that's okay.
Yeah.
And it's not okay, because that's not how it's meant to be.
Right.
And then you don't understand the consequences. And a lot of times you don't even see it.
Right.
It happens later on. Because then we are wired together a certain kind of way. And I think what is interesting, because I was always a Sally Jessera, not Sally Jessera, even though I used to watch Sally Jessera, but Dr. Laura.
Oh, yeah.
I was always a big Dr. Laura.
Yeah.
I used to listen to her all the time. And some of the stuff that she used to say sometimes, she used to give some good advice, and then sometimes I'd be like, and what I meant by that is, it's in my nature to want to know who my father is. It's in my nature to want to know who my mother is.
Yeah.
They may not have ever been there. I may not have ever seen them in my life.
Right.
But there's something in me that want to get to know them, find out something. Whether I'm still angry, getting over the anger, whether I have let it go. But because of who we are, you can't get rid of that.
Yeah.
So there's been times when I've heard her say about, don't try to feed into that, and I'm like, how do you not do that? From the standpoint of how we're wired.
Yeah.
Now, if you try, you can't find it, but still, for you not, that's one of those things that it's just always
there.
Always, that's like that little net. And you always want to know the circumstances, because you immediately think, why didn't they want me?
Yeah.
Why
what
didn't they
was
want
wrong
me?
with me? Or,
right,
yeah,
and
exactly.
right, and then a lot of times they do try to do the right thing by giving their children up for adoption, but also you feel bad by the parents who give their child up simply because of how they view themselves and think that they have to live in this kind of lifestyle to be a parent. When in reality, all the child want is that I need you to love me, be there.
Exactly.
We're eating beans out of a can, but we're still together as a family.
Yeah.
And that's and when they don't understand that part of what life is about and what family is about and all those things, because I've seen it. I've seen that spirit, and when I had my show on Orange TV, and I may have shared this with you, but I purposely did a story on a couple that had 2 daughters, and they were living out of a car, but they end up at the homeless shelter, and they told their story, and it was magnificent, because you don't see what's going on behind closed doors, but when they were at the studio, on the set, as they told their story about living in a car, a friend had said, well, come on up to Chicago and live in an apartment, not realizing that they didn't have money to pay for the electricity and all of this, and now they're up in the winter in Chicago and don't have heat.
Oh, my goodness.
So they wasn't up there long. So now they're back in Florida, and what happened was, he was a landscaper, and for someone, he had problems with his shoulders, and the work would always throw his shoulders out. He had to go to the hospital, and then these bills start piling up. Something happened to her, and some sickness and some other stuff. So it was a combination of a lot of things. Now, as I've gotten older and realized that that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And whatever went on behind closed doors, when they were sitting together, and those 2 little girls, they was just as nice and sweet and kind, and just, they weren't like these little rowdy little kids. They were just sitting there being quiet, smiling, and just you can tell that they were just good kids. And the couple, whatever that was, if they had issues, they did a good job on hiding it. Because if she was like, you ain't a man and you got me, you didn't see that.
Yeah.
She was right there.
Yeah.
As difficult as it was, whether or not she may have been hitting him upside his head, whatever that was, if she had called, you couldn't tell how they interacted and their relationship, whether on the outside, through their struggles, you can tell that they had a bond. And that is what I meant when I asked that question about why do you get married? Because to me, as I understood it, to this day, because you going before the Lord, understanding that I need you to bless me, to watch over me, to take care of me, because I'm giving you my word. This is what I'm going to do, because I'm coming before you saying we supposed to be family.
Right.
So that's how I always understood it. So that's why I say, so when you get married and you go and say, well, I'm going to get married, it is, and I understand people do get married for different reasons, but that's how I understand it.
Yeah.
You know, so with that being said, to me, there's no other reason to get married other than if you're just trying to hook up on some benefits.
Okay.
No,
Right.
but I'm saying, because I don't.
And some people do that too.
Right, but I'm saying I don't know another reason to get married. Other than you going before the Lord and just asking Him to bless you.
Yeah. And some people do it for the children, you know,
Well,
to legitimize the children.
But that's all part of it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying is how He's saying it's supposed to be, because of what a family is supposed to be. And then when you don't have it, now you see all this craziness and madness and the chaos in the world because of what He said is supposed to be. Outside of that line, that's when all the madness and the craziness. Well, I grew up with my brother, and I didn't know it was my brother, and I almost dated my sister because I didn't know it was my sister. But then the father over there got the girlfriend, and he treat her son better than he treat his son, who over there with the other boy, and so all that crazy and the madness that, as you know, which keeps you in business.
Unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately.
So I'm saying with the foundation of how He said, I mean, because life is difficult as it is. But you wanted to talk about the Pope, because the Pope has been...
Well, actually, the point that you're making is one of the points that the Pope made, you know. And, you know, in getting into that, I really wanted to also hear, because family, we'd asked Pastor Jenkins to be here tonight, but Charles, I understand that he had to also work tonight, so couldn't be here. And I believe we had another person of the cloth that was supposed to be here. I believe Bridget Norville, and couldn't make it. So, folks, you got us tonight. Okay. So, but talking about that, one of the things that the Pope had said is that he was concerned about the foundations of the family.
Well, yeah, definitely.
Right, and that and I think he said that the fundamental aspects of the family were under some threat.
Under attack, which is what we were talking about before. Remember, always constantly under attack, because the whole foundation of what it stands for, of what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't know if you remember when Dr. Roberts came on from Emma-Riddle.
Right, yeah.
And I don't know if you can remember when she was talking about light and time and all of that. All she, to me, all she was saying, this is it, because this is what you hear.
What you got?
Well, to me, this is what she was saying. From the time that you're born, as you go through life, okay, and you're talking about the time in the light. I took it and I understood it as what you hear all the time. You reap what you sow.
Yeah.
Because what I understood was what you start putting in the room from the time that you're born, as you fill up your room and what you're filling it up with. Okay? Now, as you fill up your room, as you go through life, what's in the room is just following you.
Yeah.
And that's really what she was saying.
Yeah.
And I kind of explained that to someone I was talking to. I said, let me explain to you what I mean by that. And I said, from what I understood, I said, even when you do wrong, when you get in trouble, But if you have the right people in the room, even when you do wrong, your consequences are a little different than when you do wrong and you got Bobo and such with the gun and drugs and da da da. And when you do wrong.
Yeah.
Because what you have now put in the room when you do wrong is still carrying you along that path of what you have put in the room.
Possibly further wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
And so as you go through life, and it's not going to be easy, and everything is not going to be, always sunny. But what I understood was, even through everything, as you start to bless yourself with these things that you keep putting in the room.
Right. Yeah.
So it's kind of like, well, I give you a perfect example, was that my nephews that I won't get into, it would take a lot to, no, it would. Yeah. I knew that my nephews was going to go down a certain path. I would come home from school, talk to them, but I knew that they didn't have that father figure. They didn't have that mentor. And coming from that neighborhood is very predictable. But I also knew that they came out the same house.
Yeah.
So I understood what influenced them, what motivated them, because I knew what was in their room.
Right. Okay.
And all of my cousins or whoever, I know they wasn't born to be in jail. They wasn't born to be in prison. Yeah. They wasn't born, but because of the environment, because of what they're being taught, because of what they were being put, what was being put in the room.
Right. Yeah.
I knew that they're not bad people. Now I got some cousins that I grew up with that they was going around and they had guns in people's faces, jacking them up, then shot a couple of people, but I don't know them like that.
Right. Okay.
Okay, yeah. And the joke of my family is, if you go to such and such a prison, we got our own wing.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Okay, yeah. But what I'm saying is, I don't know them like that.
Yeah.
I know them as cousin such and such. Hey man, how you doing?
Right, yeah.
So one of my nephews is doing like 25 years.
Wow.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, but what I heard was he was trying to get an appeal. Everything that he did to get the appeal to go before the judge, he went, he got the books, he read everything he needed to read. Now, whether or not the judge agreed with him of appeal, but he went through the process himself to go read the law, to break it down for him to understand that how to do it.
Right. Exactly.
Now, my point, what I'm trying to say is that if my nephew was focused like that, when he was coming up, which I was trying to, but I'm trying to tell him that and to steer him down another path, but I knew that he didn't have anybody, or they didn't have anybody constant as a mentor to always be right there.
Focus in, right.
Because I knew that was not their spirit.
Right.
But you go with your environment and you go with what you've been taught and what you know. So he didn't, but I'm trying to say it was always in him to be that A-B student. So when it came down to him and him being in that cell,
right.
And now he has a true purpose of saying, I need to get out of here. Now all of a sudden there's a discipline, a mindset, an ability to go, oh, I can use my mind. I can use the most dangerous weapon, the greatest gift God gave me, versus what I see on TV, versus what my friends say, da-da-da-da. And that's a hard thing to try to teach in that environment because you're capable of doing it. And so every night and every day, I pray for my family because I know where they come from. And I am no different than them. It's only through the grace of God that I'm here the way that I am, because as I sit and I listen, I watch some of these people on TV, and I know, I don't know them, but I know it's just like me. It's only through the grace of God you didn't get caught with your mess when you was younger.
Right. Exactly.
And that's the only reason, because you can't tell me you didn't do something stupid. I know you did.
Exactly.
We've all done stupid stuff.
Of course.
You know, I've been in the car. I didn't. They make it seem like smoking marijuana was like, everybody smoked marijuana. Everybody, if I had 20 friends, 18 of them smoked marijuana.
Right.
Okay, there was only a few that didn't.
I didn't have that issue.
Right.
That was a spirit I did not have to fight. Okay, now
Right.
my friends used to get mad at me because I used to let down the window. Okay, because
Right.
they passing it around.
So you messing with
yeah,
with
man,
that.
what's up, man? So
Right.
didn't have that problem.
Yeah.
I was never tempted at one point in time. I've been in the car where they passing one car next to the other and they passing
Right.
the
Yeah,
bag and the
between-
money. I've been
right.
in the room where they rolling on the album cover and you got the C's. Been all of that.
Right.
I had a girlfriend who I almost married. She used to come over and get high every Friday night. I sit there and just wait for her to get high, then so we can have our fun.
Right.
Then she would laugh at all my jokes once she got high.
Right.
Hey, how you doing? Okay.
Right.
But I'm saying never was tempted at any point in time.
Right.
Never.
Well, there's a common thread here because one of the things I'm curious about is what do you think, was the factor in your cousin making that decision, if you want to call it, that because a lot of guys, as you know, get into prison and they become part of the prison culture.
Well,
that's their home.
But that goes back to what I was saying. Knowing what I know and their nature and their spirit, that's not who they are. That's not really who they want to be.
Okay.
But this is what I know. This is the environment. I mean, I come from an environment where my coach told me, "Hey man, get the girls, do your homework."
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Coach. Yeah, So another thing, and I get so ticked. I wish Vince was here. Vince Carter. I get so ticked when I sit there. Did you see the two football players that hit the official?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the tackle officials.
Yeah.
They gonna sit up there on Mike and these guys talking about those two kids. You can't tell me that coach didn't tell them to do that. You cannot tell me that coach didn't tell them to do that. And the sad part is, on Mike and Mike, well, if the coach had told me to do that, I wouldn't have done that. It's just like you can't say that.
Exactly.
That coach is their father figure.
Right.
He's God to them.
Right.
And if he tells me to do something, I'm
You're
going to do it. I'm not even going to think about it twice.
Right.
I'm going to do what he tell me to do. He's my leader. I believe in him.
Right.
That's my father figure. He is not going to tell me wrong.
Right.
And if he telling me, if that's such and such said something, you need to light him up. Okay. I wouldn't think about it twice. I would have knocked the crap out of him.
Right. Well, I think the assistant coach is now being brought up on criminal charges.
Well, but what I'm saying is they're attacking.
For what he told him.
But they're more talking about those kids.
Yeah.
And see, that's what I'm saying. When you're 15, 16, 17 years old, and the coach tell you, Coach, go through that wall.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Exactly.
You're gonna go through the wall.
Right. Right.
And then that whole conversation that I've been wanting to talk about when they talking about the FSU players and they slapping the girl and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then they talking about, what 18-year-old in that same situation that I know where I'm from would have done the same thing. It ain't about what's right. It ain't about what's wrong. You 18 years old.
Yeah.
Everybody know that he shouldn't hit her.
Well, one of the things with that is that, as you said, it depends on what they have been coached into by either parent, or their partners. And at 18, unless you have that father figure,
right,
that's going to say, no, you don't want to do it because you're going to end your career.
Well,
so and with that now 18-year-olds, when you again, it's hard to not do it, but they're not stupid, and they women, and you can't just tell them, let's say last year, that that's not the thing to do. You have to raise that young person up.
Right, I got that part.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, the majority of the guys in my neighborhood, in my circle, would have done the same thing.
Well, see, it may be a generational difference because I know that when I grew up, that there were some serious bad, I would call it badasses, if you want to call it, bad actors. We'll clean it up a little bit. Okay. Who would think nothing about just wiping out another dude. But when it came to women, to girls, and again, it's maybe a generational thing, okay, that it was just, if you tried to light up a girl, you know, your buddies would just think of you as just being a lowlife.
No, but see, the difference in what I'm talking about is this here. I'm thinking in the terms of someone striking me first.
No, even with the striking first. You know.
And the reason why I say that is because we grew up. This was the motto in the neighborhood.
Right.
If you bad enough to give a lick, you bad enough to take one.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Especially when you saw girls knocking guys out early on anyway.
Okay.
So it was like, if you in my face and you gonna hit me, you telling me, okay, you bad enough to give a lick. Now you telling me you bad enough to take one.
Okay.
That's the motto that you grew up with.
Well, let me put it this way. You know, when I grew up, and again, I have to say, you know, I'm a generation behind or ahead, if you want to call it like that. There were a few girls, you know, who were bad enough to challenge a dude. 95% of the other girls, you just knew you did not mess with, you did not touch. Because again, the same thing. Now, if there was the girls that you know that acted, you know, like a dude, you know, and would become, and there was very few, you know, that I knew of, you know, on my block, that you just did not mess with the girls. It was thought that they were over there, and y'all were over here. And now with dude, it was, you know, all no holds barred. But with the women, it was like, if you mess with, man, you know, what's wrong with you? You know, you a punk or something, you know, you gonna mess with his and the thought was, so if you gonna mess with, at least get somebody your size.
Right, but see, again, the thing is that if she showed a certain type of attitude, if she came at you a certain way, and what I'm talking about the heat of the moment is what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
okay, now there's a difference because the heat of the moment is what I'm really talking about.
Right.
That's really what I'm talking about, the heat of the moment.
Right.
And the fact that, because, I mean, I can sit here and tell you, I had a girlfriend that knocked the crap out of me, and I wasn't expecting it. And I hit her back. Now, that I'm older, I would handle it differently. Right.
But
at that time, when she hit me, I was more in shock than anything. And I'm like, and that it was one of them good payals. And not to make an excuse for, but it was a good one of those
I remember you told me.
Right. And she knocked the only person that has ever hit me like that is my mother. That's the only person that has ever hit me like that. But that one of those where you go look in the mirror, you got the hand
you
print.
got the print.
Right.
Okay.
And that's honestly how she hit me. And I looked at her because I was like, are you crazy? And I hit her back. Like, are you what? Yeah. Why do you have the audacity to hit me? Because I didn't understand that.
Right.
You know, but when it's all said and done, I felt bad because I'm still looking at her like,
how you do?
Like, where did that come from?
Well, see,
and I was like, I'm serious. I was for like 3 days. I couldn't believe that girl hit me.
Okay, right.
You know, a good pow. Not that I'm making an excuse for hitting her back.
Right.
But
yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah. Well, see, and I'm trying to think back. There was very few girls that back in my day that I knew that would jump that bad. Okay. The ones that did that, I would say that yes, a dude may respond back to them. But again, like I said, 95% of the rest of the girls, you know, that were there, you just didn't consider them as in any way a threat.
But 95% of the girls would never hit you too. I mean, there were some girls that, but see, see
I guess that's what
in 2015 with this society today with these kids
and
everything
again,
and seeing, that's what I mean by Mike in the morning, and I don't get that.
Well, see, again, like that we really do have to talk generations, because in 2015, I would say that all bets are off.
Well,
You know.
well, my whole point that I'm upset is that it's easy to sit on the microphone and TV and radio and say
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
political
yeah.
correct things.
Well,
Everybody know
if
that
I,
he shouldn't hit her.
right.
But
Well,
what's the
see,
reality?
right. Well, see, and I think I'm hearing your point, and that is that that they say kids without some other guidance are going to react, in that way, like you said.
My
With
whole
that,
point that I'm trying to say
yeah.
is that he's 18 years old, understanding the reality again, versus doing the mentoring thing, because you have to look at the overall picture. If it's a constant behavior, if this is what he's always doing,
Right.
but if it's a moment where something happens, how you don't do what you do when you're looking after young people and you're trying to mentor somebody. So now
Yeah.
you're trying. It's all to me. It's like they're taking the person in the situation, because a guy hits a female. It's like he took the gun and killed everybody in the room. That, to me, that's a moment in which you can teach this young man, because now you truly has his attention.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're trying to say he's this monster. I don't see it that way.
Yeah.
I see it as a way that he's 18. If you're looking at a 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22-year-old
Right.
man who needs to be mentored. If he has a history of this, that's something different.
Right.
But I'm saying
right.
here's a situation, a moment where something happened in the heat of the moment, and they sit on these behind the microphone, and they always, who the heck don't know he shouldn't hit her? That's not the point.
Exactly.
You know, and to me, you sound stupid by the comments that you're making, because you're really not dealing with the issue at hand.
Right.
Because here's a young man who needs a mentor, and you're pointing fingers at him, and he could be a very good kid.
That's
and
right.
I won't even, I mean, to kind of switch it over a little bit to Adrian Peterson, right? Because you can't tell me Adrian Peterson is a bad guy.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
did he go overboard? He went way overboard.
Yeah.
But if you want to, I still hear people talking. Well, yeah, he should have kicked that little butt really good. Yeah, he should have got into that little butt.
Right.
Because
Exactly.
we understand
Where
now.
that comes from.
But
Yeah.
I'm saying
Yeah.
we get that.
Yeah. Well, Charles.
But
the
not
thing,
from the standpoint that
Yeah.
take this brother aside, somebody that he respects,
Yeah.
that he'll listen to help him understand. No,
Right.
Adrian, we understand you love your kid, but you can't do that, man.
But see, Charles, I think in some ways I understand your point, but in our society at this time, that's expecting that to happen is just unrealistic. Okay.
But what I'm saying is they're dealing with him, Adrian Peterson, because
But
he's Adrian
but
Peterson
Charles,
with money.
can you expect anything different?
I got that, but again, I'm talking about being responsible behind that mic is what I'm talking about.
But you see, that is not going to happen.
That's the sad part.
But you see, that's the reality of the society that we live in.
But
okay,
they're trying to hold him accountable, but I'm also trying to hold them accountable too, because of the fact that they have the microphone.
No, I would agree,
and that's what I mean.
But you see, that's why we have the most people in prison in the entire industrial world, because
right.
Because the deal is that often kids, just like you're talking about, are looked at as commodities.
Right.
That if they can produce and produce a win, if they can produce, for the powers that be, that's fine. That they're lionized, okay? But once they don't follow the script, then it's like, oh, he must be a thug. We're going to throw him away. Now, the point that you're making is an excellent point, that someone should have, before that incident, been mentoring that kid. After the incident, it would even have been more critical, like you said, for somebody to pull him aside and say, listen, son, this is not the way to go. But I will bet you that did not happen.
Right. Well, the young kid that hit the girl in the bar,
Okay.
I did see them on a TV show with his mother.
Okay.
Okay, and he said, and he apologized, and he said how wrong he was.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Okay.
and which is the point, because he's not a bad kid. And
Okay.
see, that's what I mean. It was the heat of the moment. He's
Mm-hmm.
18, 19 years old, and if anybody that's a parent, really,
Right.
I mean,
Now they got him on TV with the mother. What I would love to know is what happened after that.
right.
You know,
Well,
was it back to business as usual? You know,
I mean, like for an example, like the lady who went and snatched the kid from when he was down there, and then because
And-
everybody got, I mean, not every, we all got that.
Right.
We all got what she's doing. What I know my mother and the mothers
Right.
in my neighborhood would do.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
and of course, you know, there's certain people which I
Right.
won't even say that you're
Right.
acting like, you know, she did what she was supposed to do.
Right.
Oh, she did exactly what she was supposed to do. You know,
Right.
and she handled her business. You know, if you don't understand it, that's your problem.
That's it.
You know, she's trying to make sure that you don't have an encounter with her kid where you sitting up there, yeah, he snatched my pocketbook and then he dragged me with his car. That's it.
Right. Exactly. One of the things, you know, as we're talking about that, I had the privilege this morning of interviewing a young man who is an A grade college student that is going to one of our local colleges here. And as we went through the interview, and this is for him going into, he's decided at age 20 to go into the clergy.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, and he talked about his family. He talked about being active in the church, active in youth ministry. He's a musician. He wasn't. As a matter of fact, it's interesting. He was, and I'm not going to give a lot of information, but a star athlete in a particular sport. And he told me in the last game of his high school career, he wound up breaking a bone. The last game of high school, he had scholarships to about 7 different colleges, for athletics. With the broken bone, he said, all of the scholarships disappeared because he didn't realize that it was more than they told him, again, commodity, that he had a deep laceration, in the ankle, deep bruise, and so he went around for the next few months on that ankle. What happened was that by the time they diagnosed what was wrong, the bones had already set. He would have been it needed major operation to get that bone together. But even before that, the scholarships disappeared. Now, he told me he went into a deep depression. And at that time, he could have decided to go in the direction of the streets. Just as you were talking, it was all around him. All right?
Yeah, I know.
He said that if not for his parents, okay, again, we're talking about family, and talking about his faith, that he would have gone in that other direction.
Right.
Now, he said it took him about a year and a half before he came out of that depression. And he said that during that time, he felt just a sense of being, in many ways, lost. Okay?
Yeah.
But he said that there was something, both in his prayers, in his own faith walk, and also in those parents that kept pushing him towards getting into college. He wound up at a local college, changed his major from what was going to be business into what is it, religion and law.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, now is thinking about a career, in the clergy. He said that he discovered that if he gets the surgery,
Mm-hmm.
that he still may be able to get back into the sport.
Right.
But he said that now he realizes what his calling, is, and what his hobby, which is the sports, will be. Now, here it is, somebody who at that decision point could have gone in so many different negative directions and wound up making an unexpected decision based on two of the main factors in his life. And I think he's now got a year to go in college, has just about a 3.0 grade point average, and has got a fiance. And he said that if he had ever imagined himself going in that direction 2 years ago, he would have said, "No way, Jose."
No.
So,
Well,
so I just wanted to make the point that in many ways that our young people, without those two things, the family, and that sense of faith and resilience, to put those things into play, often, can make that left turn and go in that negative direction.
well, there's quite a few things that I wanted to make a comment on. That would be a good show with Vince Carter, because I know that I've heard you talk about when you were in college and you were on the track team. But people don't know me as the athlete. Okay, so growing up in my neighborhood, we were extremely competitive. Just went to an old friend, a gentleman that I played basketball with in high school. He had his funeral. I went to his funeral about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen him for years.
Yeah.
And I gave people a statistic that no one knew at the time. In that when his senior year, he was a year ahead of me. I played with him a lot when I was a junior. And he was our leading scorer on the team his senior year. And no one knew that he was the second leading scorer in the county, in Duval County. But I say that because no one at this age, at this point in time, these years later, know me as the jock. And when the time came, as I heard you tell this story, and I would love to, we can sit and talk with this young man, because you hear it all the time about when you're the athlete or when you're the star athlete, and when something happens when you don't make it. Well, I'm here to tell you, you go into this funk. You go into this when I got hurt and not knowing what I needed to do to get back to that level, because I didn't know. When I got hurt and came off the 2 surgeries, I was hurt for a period of over 3 years.
Oh my.
So
Okay.
during the time of when it happened, by the time I was able to actually go back out on the court, about 3 years had gone by. And not knowing what I needed to do, being still young, I didn't understand that when I did that first step and somebody was still there, I didn't understand why they were still there.
Okay.
I'm serious. I didn't. So to make a long story short, being that person was part of your personality. Being that person made you feel super.
Yeah.
It made you feel good about yourself. It was how you identified yourself. And it helped you motivate yourself through all aspects of life. Whether or not it was in school or anything like that, or just how you felt about yourself during the day.
Yeah.
There's a good feeling that when you went out on the court,
you're going to be the first one to get picked.
Yeah.
And you didn't lose. It didn't matter what sport it was because you excelled in all of them. And then when the day comes when now part of your personality is gone, it got so bad that I stopped playing ball. Period. I became so depressed. I would leave the basketball court, and on my way home, I used to cry because I couldn't take being average.
Yeah.
I hated it. I was like, I wasn't used to being the average guy.
Yeah.
You know, and that sucked.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't me. And it just messed me up till I just stayed away from basketball and sports for a period of maybe about 3 years.
Wow.
I couldn't take going out being just the average guy. It just wasn't who I was. And I didn't know how to deal with that. It broke me down. I became so depressed to a whole nother level of just trying to deal with stuff. And it was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard for a long time.
I can
And so
imagine, yeah.
to hear you, to sit and hear what he's saying,
Right.
there's things in which I can relate to and questions that I can ask and to just talk about how that whole thing is. But it happens a lot to athletes in general when it comes to that day of whether it's an injury or where do you go now? You know, because when you don't have, because I always say that there's so many guys. I played ball in the North and the South, and nobody was any better in my neighborhood than anywhere in the world.
Oh,
But those guys didn't have, like, I was just talking to somebody. There's so many stories that I can tell you, Dr. Robertson, but this is the one that kind of sticks in my mind. That when I was in college, and I had scholarships, but I didn't go to school right out of high school. I waited a year.
okay.
But I had scholarships, but I didn't have anybody to help me to apply for them or how to go about processing them. So they just went away.
Yeah.
Okay, but I put myself in school because I realized that I didn't want to be part of the NOTC.
Right.
The NOTC are Negroes on the corner.
Right.
Even though I know they got a union and all this, no. But I didn't want to be like my brothers. My brother and some guys that I grew up. I did not want to be that.
Yeah.
So whatever that is, whatever that spirit was. So I won't go into how I made that happen.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that when I did go, there was a few guys that was behind me that when I got ready to leave DBCC, they was now graduating. So I went there, I got them, brought them to the school. There was about 5 of them. And when the coach saw them play, he said, oh yeah, I love you guys.
Okay.
Now, about 5 years ago, I saw one of the guys that I hadn't seen since that time.
Yeah.
That's my first time seeing him since that long ago. And his name was Leonard. He came up to me, he's Charles, and he said to me, I was just thinking about you the other day.
Wow.
And I looked at him, and now, I'm like,
Yeah.
He said, man, I think about you all the time. He left there, he went in the service,
Right.
And then we standing there talking, and he said, this is exactly what he said. You the only one that helped us when we got out of school, man. You the only one, and I always appreciated that. Now, I never even looked at it that way. I never thought about it that way, but I understand what he was saying.
Right. Yeah.
Because when he said it, it clicked, because if somebody had done that for me, because to me, I wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
To me, you just do what you're supposed to do.
Right.
But a lot of those guys get caught up like that. And the funny thing is, the most talented one out of that group, the most talented one, didn't take the scholarship. He didn't want to leave his mom.
Wow.
He didn't want to leave his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And he's a wino right now. And he's an alcoholic. And if you were to see him, I didn't even recognize him.
Wow.
But he was the most talented out of all of them.
All of them. Yeah.
And he decided that he didn't want to because he couldn't leave home. And I'm like, and he's a nice guy, just the nicest
yeah.
guy you ever want to meet.
Oh yeah.
And whatever that spirit was, whatever it was, where he just said no, and you just looked at him, because there was two guys that I played ball with in high school that I would pay to see play. He's one of the two. He was just that good.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing.
You know, and just as we're talking, think about what might have been if he had had truly a mentor.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Think of that. You know, one of the things I wanted to do, because wow,
Yeah.
our time is almost up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how we get into things, etc. But a couple things before we close, and that I did want to, and we can have Pastor Jenkins in on another time. But I did want to talk a little bit about, before we close up, what his thoughts were about this Pope, Francis, that spoke in Congress and at the UN, because I think that as we're talking about mentors, etc., and influences, that kind of influence is one that can, whatever your religious stripe, can also be a powerful influence. And what I wanted to gain a sense of, and we don't have time for our audience to Twitter in or whatever, but I would love to get a response in terms of what their thoughts are about what this man, who is the leader, of a religious denomination, what their thought is of him as a world leader, the leader of his church, and also as a moral influence or an inspirational influence. So that's one of the thoughts. So my thought is to get at least a comment, on that. And I don't know if we have anybody that has called in.
My question that I asked Pastor Jenkins, that I thought, I said, Pastor, I said the world seems to have stopped as the Pope has making his tour, and America has embraced this man, the Pope.
Some of America, but anyhow.
What I mean is, I'm talking about the masses of people that you see in that sense. And the reason why I say it like that is for this reason only. You see all these people, and my question is, what's up with that when it comes down to taking Christ out of Christmas and you can't say Merry Christmas? Where are these people? So I'm like, I don't understand. It just makes no sense to me.
Okay.
And so his comment was, he said, Charles, it's very easy for us to idolize a man, but not Jesus Christ. And I was like, you're right.
Yeah.
And nothing. This and I'm trying to give the Pope his praise. I'm trying to raise him up to say that these people recognize, and they're all excited. But then when you come to you're taking Christ out of Christmas, and I don't get it. It makes no sense to me.
The interesting thing, and I think both your question and Pastor Jenkins's response make a lot of sense, because in our society, in fact, I heard it on a number of commentators said, well, he's being greeted as a rock star. Okay? And I think that it is just that. In fact, there was a play.
Did you read my shirt?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Love thy haters.
Yeah, because it's that see love thy haters.
Right.
It's like, why they hating on the Pope? Why you hating on? But anyway.
Right. Well. Okay, I'm hearing it a little different.
Okay.
But because I'm hearing it as a question about how is it that we can respond to what seems to be a single man. In our, in many ways, misguided society, we like to put a lot of emphasis on celebrity.
Right.
We don't have kings in our society, but we have celebrities.
We have kings in our minds, but yeah, go ahead.
Right. Yeah. And celebrities basically function, as that. So we will, as a society, laud the Pope, etc. But Charles, the sad thing is, 2 weeks from now, at this time, I will bet that if you get a couple lines about about the Pope and his talks and his tours here, it'll be more nostalgia than it will be a call to action.
Okay.
Okay, and again, yes, if you think in terms of Jesus Christ, okay, when he entered Jerusalem, okay, weren't there these wonderful crowds, and everybody is, oh, look at the wonderful prophet, and everybody lauding him. And how long was it until some of, we don't know historically, but probably some of these same folks were there saying, we want Barabbas. Okay?
Right.
So, and I think you're the one who has said so much, has changed, but so much has stayed the same. So that the people back then were not that different from the people now.
Right.
In looking at Jesus Christ superstar back in the day. Okay?
Right.
And now they're looking at Pope Francis superstar. But what's lost, and you hit on it precisely, what is lost is the message. The message. And so the character of the messenger, and I think that the way that I see this man is that he is attempting to carry a message. But the crowds on the sidewalk are like the crowds greeting Jesus coming into Jerusalem, and that is that they are thinking, here is literally the Savior, but not in terms of the way that we think of the Savior,
Right.
as someone save our soul,
Right.
but as this powerful magician, okay, who can personally cure the ailing,
Right.
the blind, etc. And isn't he wonderful? But when the magician, chooses not to perform his tricks,
Right.
okay, it's, crucify him. He causing a lot of trouble.
Right.
So when this Pope says, pray for me, and a lot of folks are not hearing what I believe he's truly trying to say. I believe he knows that adulation can quickly turn,
Oh yeah.
from adulation to, oh, who does he think he is? We need to get rid of
Right.
the Pope, okay? Just as many individuals in history who have tried to carry the message have also been sacrificed, on the altar, of Mammon,
Right.
And when he talks about the poor, what is it? The abuse of power by the rich. That's something, when you think about it, that is not easily tolerated. So I would not be surprised if you hear in short time, oh, something nasty is going on, at the Vatican,
Right.
with the Pope, because those who
What?
carry the message, to truly, I believe, carry the message, and I believe this man truly carries the message, that they're not tolerated easily,
Right.
and the enemy is there, to try to. So again, that perception that Pastor Jenkins has and you have of, well, how come all of this adulation about this man? Part of my perspective on it is characteristic of what we do as a society.
Right.
We love to lift celebrities up, and we love to tear them back down.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to truly pay attention to the message and not so much the messenger.
Correct.
Okay, so at any rate, but I think as usual
Yeah.
that we're way over.
All right.
And audience, please forgive us for taking more of your time than we usually have. It is not because we want to abuse your God-given moments, but we hope that some of what we have to say is meaningful, that it carries a message in it, and that you can benefit in some way. If you feel that you're benefiting, when you're listening next week, Twitter in, call in, whatever, but just let us know, because we like to know that we're, as we say in the journey, that the journey is from me to you, from you to me, so that we can reach a higher level. Good night. We'll see you next week.